Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Let's see if looks like I have good stream status. Sorry I'm a tad late. I had a little bit of technical difficulties. Actually, let me just make sure that my audio is okay while I'm testing. Yes, looks good. Alright, I didn't do any of my regular checks today, but I did line up some material, so at least there's that. Alright, lots of people are in because I am slow. QP, Dark Wolf's Den, Water Bearer, Freeman's Cryptoverse, Steely Scent, Olivier, Henry, Claire Jane, Autumn Nicole's, Tony's. See, it's great to be late because then all of you are already there. Shari D is in, Ethan LaFontaine, Matthew Kyle, Plume. Boy, lots of people today. Sweet Joy, Sharkticon Na. Yeah, it was not a big deal. It's just one of my computers crashed right when I was getting ready to start, and then I had to get it started again. It's an old piece of junk computer, and I don't know how much longer it's going to live. Okay, so anyway, let's get going. All right, this one I saw about a week or two ago, but somebody else brought it up again. It's these sea potatoes in the United Kingdom. Apparently, a giant horde of these sea potatoes was washing up recently, June 25th, 2018. England is buzzing over hundreds of curious orbs that are washing up on beaches everywhere. And there are these goofy sea potatoes. I'll show a tad of it here. Whoop. Nope, there's not a lot of info on it there. These things, so they look kind of creepy. And most people said they've never seen them before. But of course, the storyline is that they are not super uncommon, and they just had an unusual spate of them. But they're these things. Apparently, they can wiggle off too, and they're usually covered with hair. But apparently, England's been getting a ton of those things. Just thought it was kind of interesting. This one came from Light, Love, and Awake, a commenter on my channel. So, good find. Yeah, I did see those, and I think I was busy with something, and then I didn't really write it down or anything. So, if 2 people think it's weird enough, then that should be definitely weird enough. There's so many weird animals now. Dun, dun. All right, so here's another one. Recently, I had on one of my videos on the weird cloud one that I just did. There was that weird black ring thing, and somebody brought up some more info. Stand Up for Freedom, one of the regular commentors on my channel, pointed out this video. Apparently, there's been a whole bunch of those weird black rings, and that's the ring. One of them is the one that's on my thumbnail for this video. But what was interesting is they're saying that they can be caused by explosions or caused on purpose, and they give this example of one at supposedly this happened at a Burning Man, and supposedly it shows how to form one of these black smoke rings. Just watch this video because I want you to watch a couple things. Hopefully I won't get a copyright strike for this, but there's a couple things to see. One is that it looks weird at first, and you will see that suddenly there's kind of a cut in the video, and then it speeds up really weird. So it doesn't look like it's one whole cohesive video. It looks like something fishy happened in the middle. So I'm going to play it now. See, it starts at 3:35. I want to play this one a couple times. See right there, it suddenly went faster. Then there was like kind of a cut. And then this is supposed to be what it is at the end. All right, I'm going to replay it so you can see it. Now, we didn't have these weird things in my old timeline. It looks weird enough there, but then it's kind of going slowly. It was right there. If you saw it, it kind of suddenly there was a little bit of a cut in the video, and then it went like like it was on double time or something. And I don't know if there's an excuse that they're trying to just make it go faster, but if you speed up a video, you would not have a cut where you speed it up. It would just look like it sped up naturally. See if I can catch it again. See, right there. It goes kind of slow. Slow, slow, slow. And then there's a break, and then it goes really fast. Now, I don't know what's going on with that video, but this video is supposed to be the explanation for how these things are formed. Shari D, I've never seen a black ring like this before. Yeah, it's just apparently they're all over the place now. Let's see, that was at 348. So basically, I looked around and they're saying that this is how these are made. This is the only video I could find. I don't know if I looked harder, maybe I could find another one, but this is the only video I could find that actually supposedly shows a formation of one of these black rings. Computer's giving me trouble again. And it's fishy. This is the way the video looks. It looks badly manipulated or something. It's just weird. But there's images of the different black rings. July 18, 2017. There's another one, Argentina, 2015. Bangalore. Leamington Spa, UK. Disneyland, that's in California. Interestingly, I never heard of this. Excuse me. Well, I don't know what's up. I mean, I have only just heard of these the last maybe month that I've seen these. So now they're saying any explosion, like a transformer explosion, can cause them. I don't think so. In my old timeline, they didn't have them. In this timeline, they do have more weird ring things, like the way that the dolphins can blow bubbles in a ring shape, that kind of thing. And I could just write it off as an ME, that the atmosphere is different. But yet, their explanation for these is not very good so far. So something to keep an eye on. There's something fishy going on with these black rings, and I can't figure it out. If it is just an ME and that is how our atmosphere works, then I should be able to find a realistic video of them being formed. And all I found was that one, and it looks messed up. Well, I don't trust it. Can a train smoke cause it with right wind? I've never heard or seen any such thing. Of course, now they're saying that, but in the past, no. I mean, who knows what now, but I saw the black ring in England for my first time a few years back. Huh, that's interesting. Tomorrow there's a blood moon. Oh, is there another one? There's like a blood moon every 5 minutes now. Let's see. I'm going to go back and see what you guys are up to here. Smoke dissipates quicker than vids I've seen of real ones. Keokuk Monte. I'm not sure what that sentence exactly means. You're saying that that in your opinion, normal smoke dissipates quicker. Yeah, there's definitely something weird. Supposedly they hang there for like half hour. Again, I mean, there are a lot of weird smoke and ring things in this timeline, but I don't know. There's a lot of things I see that my brain just wants to say that's fake, and I can't quite say that for sure anymore because this timeline is weird for me. But again, there should be some video of these being formed, and I could not find it. I don't know if that's coming or if this is gonna grow into something else. Anyway, okay, so there's those. Let me delete some of these old ones. All right, what's next? Oh, this one. This one just came up on Reddit like a few hours ago, and it is a cow eating a rabbit. It just reminded me of some of the past videos where I we were talking about herbivores eating other creatures, even though they're supposed to be herbivores. And before it was just little mice and things. Well, apparently now we've graduated to rabbits. So I just thought I'd put this up. It looks like an old image too, but it's just circulating now. I didn't see anything like this when I was first researching it. Of course, it shows up on Reddit, so just front page of Reddit. Another weird thing. No explanation or anything either on this one that was just put up. All right, this one is from John Daniel Hubbard, a commenter on my channel. Now, for a lot of people, these fish with the kind of legs things are an ME, and they are for me. But this particular video is particularly interesting because now this is supposed to be the ocean floor, but it's crystal clear down there apparently. I mean, it doesn't look like the ocean floor. It looks like he's walking on land. And he moves around and he wiggles his tail and stuff. I swear, he looks like a dog or something. I'm going to run this one. It's a very short clip. What are those things on his back? I don't remember those either. Play it one more time. Whoops. See how he wiggles his tail right there? Weird. Alright, anyway, so that's just weird one. Water bear. Well, I think they're all omnivores, actually. Well, they are in this timeline. They used to say that herbivores did not like the taste of meat because they were herbivores, and so that's why you didn't see a rabbit eating flesh, because it wasn't natural for them, and because it wasn't natural for them, they never got the taste for it. Just like I have no desire to eat grass because it doesn't taste good. I'm designed to eat things that are more nutritious for humans. So that was always the argument, but now I guess that's out the window because everything eats everything. Also, did anybody hear what the radar image over Texas was? Oh, no, I don't know about that one. The radar image over Texas. Let's just see what that is. If we can find it. The latest Texas, southern Texas, blah, blah. I might need another search term. Kyokuk Monte, give me one more word I can stick in there to find that. Alright, I'm going to stick in one more word. Mystery radar blob. Alright, well, we got... Alright, 2018. Let's try a 2018. Radar blob. Nope. I don't think I'm finding it. Mysterious skyquakes continue across the world. Oh, those weird booms. Okay, I think I've covered that before. Oh, maybe it's this one. Mysterious plume on radar raises... Nope, that was May 23rd. Nope, too many weird things. Can't, It was 4 hours ago? Huh. I don't know. It doesn't look like there's anything online as of yet. Tons of weird radar stuff, but can't find that one. Dimming here in Texas. Oh, in Kansas. You've had dimming over there? It's on the... Oh, it's on that channel. All right, hold on. Go to YouTube. Luckily, I have ME24 right here. Huge anomaly appears on radar over Texas. Excuse me. Got the hiccups. Well, if he doesn't know yet, then probably it's not out there. See if we can find it. I don't have the sound on for them either. Over Kansas. Oh, is it? No, it's not that. I don't know. It might be hard to figure it out without the sound on. Oh, is it that? That is weird. Huh. Well, they might just... Alright, right there. They might blame it on... Yeah, that is weird. They might blame that on an error, though, in the radar. Sometimes that's what they say when they can't figure stuff out. I'm going to look at the comments here real quick. Does not look like there's any news about what it is. All right. Still mystery. Okay, this next one comes from Catnap, another commenter on my channel. And I had seen this with birds, but I had not yet seen this with bats. But apparently, bats are very good swimmers now. Check out this image of this bat swimming along. He's, So they're saying that the bats will go into the rivers and get frogs and stuff, and then they'll swim along with them until they get out. I think it's kind of a trip. I've never seen that before until the last few months. I started seeing these flying creatures that could swim. This is one I saw a few months ago, and it was in some, I don't know if it's this exact video, but eagles are pretty good swimmers now. Now, in my old timeline, they would say that if their feathers got all wet, they could lose their ability to fly. And so they see he's caught this other bird, and then he's swimming along with the dang thing in his feet. So that's quite a feat, because, pardon the pun, he's not only got swimming, but he's got this bird. Yeah, in my old timeline, birds that were not water birds had to be very careful of getting wet. But in this timeline, eagles are water birds. So, kind of a different storyline now. All right, this is another one. You may have heard of this one. I think this has made the rounds, although weirdly I haven't specifically seen any of the Mandela effect places really mention this. But a few days ago, over in Siberia, day turned to night for several hours, and there's no explanation for it at all. Mystery gets murkier over cloud that turned day into night. But this thing with the cloud, people are saying they didn't see smoke. Some places are saying, oh, it's probably from these fires that are burning, but these people are saying they didn't see any smoke, the people that actually were there. The other thing I have to say is, I live in wildfire country, and there was one season where I had wildfire on 3 sides. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there was 3 sides, and all the roads out were closed, and we were all, ash was raining down. It was ridiculous amounts of forest fire, and you could barely breathe. The whole place stank. But you know what? It did not get very dark. It just got a tiny bit dark. The amount of smoke necessary to completely block the sun, I just don't see that happening, especially if the fire is a ways off. I don't buy it. But anyway, they're saying day suddenly turned to night around noon on Friday, and for almost 3 hours, locals needed torches to see where they were going. Here's the other thing. If there's that much smoke, then whichever way the wind blows, that place should end up with the darkness. It shouldn't just be darkness in one spot for 3 hours and then no darkness at all. Because the wind will shift and the smoke will go the other way, and then the other people on the other side should get it. And that's what would happen here. The wind would shift, and then we'd be choking to death, and then it would shift again, and the guys over to the other direction would be choking to death. And it would be a constant back and forth through the day. The territory impacted by the mysterious gloom is larger than Italy. So that is a pretty large region. Some blame the work of the devil, but the main assumption initially was that smoke from raging wildfires in other districts had blotted out the sun. Now, when I had the wildfires around here, they weren't really in other districts at all. I mean, they were very close. Very close. So here's some images of the darkness. They said it had a bit of a yellow tinge. Pitch black, but with a bit of a yellow tinge. You could still see the sun, but they were saying it had a little bit of a yellow tinge. It didn't come at once, but grew gradually. Now, when I had the smoke here, you could see that it was smoke. It had a certain smoky color. The color is orange. It is not yellow. So I'm just not buying this whole smoke thing. See, here's what people are saying. There was no dust. Many were coming outside. So many witnesses can confirm there was no dust. There was no sharp decrease in air temperature either as it happened, but on that night the air dropped down below -4°C. I don't know if that is unusual for the area or not. It seems like they're indicating it's rather cold, but I mean, that is Siberia. Anyways, no clues on what it is so far, but very interesting. Day to night for 3 hours. All right, so you're saying there was some kind of dimming. If you check out that channel I was on, MRBB333, he keeps a sharp eye on weird weather phenomena. And I haven't checked him today, but I do check him every few days. And he's been talking a lot about the dust clouds that are coming across large sections of the planet. Even then, they're not even really explained very well. I mean, they're not supposed to be any unusual winds or anything, but the whole story of the dust clouds traveling, they're even saying it's making to California now and dimming. And there's a whole bunch of excuses, it just seems like, for the air to be dark. That seems to be kind of a pattern I've been seeing. Yeah, wet feather means they can't swim. Yeah, well, eagles are, for me, the bald eagle was always a forest bird. They were kind of loners. They'd pair up for mating, but that was it. But now they're considered a water bird. They go way up to the Arctic. They migrate. They hang out with the polar bears. They're just a different bird for me. And they're not endangered anymore. There's tons of them. So anyways, I mean, that might be their excuse that eagles are water birds. But I mean, they're not ducks or anything. I mean, you expect ducks to have that oily feather, but eagles did not used to have it. I mean, that's our friggin' national symbol. So I do know a tad about those. Only ducks could swim. Yeah, and they wouldn't swim by like flapping their wings along like a person would. They would swim because they could sit on the water. My mom was just saying something about the once-in-a-lifetime blood moon, and I thought to myself, didn't we have a few lately? Yeah, we just had one. It was a couple months ago. I mean, there's this something-colored moon all the time, and to be honest, it comes up red a lot anyway. They're saying it's the atmosphere. Just weird. Seagull, 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 seagull. Yeah, they call it a water eagle. They hang out like by lakes and rivers and stuff supposedly. But what was it? Mandela Effects was saying the seagull beak looks longer. And if you look at them, I agree with that. They look longer. I also think the mouth opens a lot wider on seagulls now. You will see them from the front view with a really wide mouth, and they eat like rats and stuff now. So I guess you need that bigger space down. If you're gonna throw a whole rat down your throat, you need a pretty big mouth. Okay, I don't know what 7 hours was. 7 hours ago something. Was it that weird, are we talking about that weird radar thing? Moon is disappearing in Australia. I filmed it. I'll have to check that out. Even the word wildfire is fairly new to me. It used to be forest fire. Wildfire was fairly common around here, at least in my timeline. I think we use wildfire because in a lot of areas in Southern California, we don't really have forests. We have chaparral, so it's a lot of brush and some tall bushes, and there might be a tree here or there, but it's not what you would call a forest. But it's a lot of really dry brush, and the fires will just rip through there, and we get these winds that blow the sparks. So they actually are very fast moving. So I think that's why we use wildfire. Not really a forest, but it sure burns like crazy. When is the last time you saw a bat during the day? Yeah, good point. It's all bright and shiny on that image. I guess we're going to find out they threw the bat in or something. I've never seen a bat during the day. I mean, not in the wild. At zoos, but... Computer going crazy. Oh yeah, that eagle catching an alligator video. Yeah, that one was weird too. I mean, it was kind of a small alligator, but still. Used to be they just couldn't carry heavy stuff. I mean, a small fish maybe, but they could not carry like baby goats and alligators. Three hours of no sun at 8 a.m. Moon disappeared here while I was filming it. Well, I hope you got that film up on video on the YouTube. Yeah, eagles are not endangered anymore, last I checked. Let me just double check their official status. I mean, remember they were saying how eagles were all going to die out, blah, blah, blah. Well... not anymore. Let's see if they're still count as endangered. Least concern. Yeah, they're no longer endangered. I'm pretty sure least concern is not removed from the federal list of threatened and endangered species. After nearly disappearing from most of the United States, the bald eagle is now flourishing across the nation and no longer needs the protection of the Endangered Species Act. So yes, they're not endangered anymore. Remember how they were eminently going to all die out because of habitat loss, blah, blah. Well, that's all gone now. And they're water birds. All right, so where are we now? Dun, dun, dun. All right, that's, oh yeah, this one. I've just been seeing a ton of videos like this, and it's the, they're calling them like mini tornadoes. And what's weird about it is this tornado is picking up tents and stuff. And if you look in the video, people are saying even if you weight down your tents, these tornadoes, these mini tornadoes will suck up your tents and just fling them around. And then there's a bunch of people saying, oh, it happened here and happened there. And here's the original video. And then also happened during Roskilde Festival. People in their tents and the tents getting pulled up with people still in them. So, you know, my old timeline, you had big tornadoes that could pick things up. But the regular little dust devils that you couldn't see just weren't that powerful at all. I mean, here they're saying it'll take paint off your car, and they're really dangerous here. So it's picking up, this was a festival, and they're basically just picking up everybody's stuff. It's just weird because it's so peaceful looking in a weird kind of way. You can't see any, you know, like there's not a lot of dirt in the air or anything. It's all just people's stuff. I mean, my old timeline, in order to have this much wind, you would have to have a visible tornado, and it would pull up a lot of other dust and stuff. And it would be rotating a lot faster. This just kind of, there's been so many videos like this lately. This is probably the third or fourth one I've seen like this. My friends was saying, oh yeah, they'll peel the paint right off your car if they get near your car. I've never heard of anything like that. But, you know, he remembers everything from this timeline. He's like this timeline barometer. It's very rare that he sees any ME. And if he does, then once he's told about the current reality, he immediately will flip. So, I mean, most people usually have stuff in their tents too. So I don't think these tents are all empty. I mean, you would expect there'd be coolers and other things in there. It looks like it picks up every one that's there. I mean, none of these tents are being left on the ground. They're all being grabbed. Anyway, just weird. Looks like a magic slope. Floating. Yeah, it's so, it pulls them up, but yet it's so peaceful and relaxing. Just weird. Microbursts are new to me. Yeah, that one's been developing for a while. Microburst. They called it something, and it would just be like sudden rain, and then it's just gotten more and more intense over the last. I think it's been brewing for a while though with the microbursts. It's funny, Sharktacon, I think it even says that something about the magic vault. No, it didn't. Okay, festivals are trash. I think somebody down here commented about, oh, they called it an art installation. Yeah. All right, Shari, thanks for coming. Yeah. Autumn Nichols. So ambisol or ambisol. It was AMBESOL for me. Has it changed? Let's see. I'm going to type in my old one. Oh, weird. It's ambisol now? All right. No, it was ambisol before. Yeah, no, that changed. That's funny. You know, sometimes these ones I go, oh, that Autumn Nichols, there's no way it's not still ambisol. I mean, I should know by now. I really should. But sometimes when I read those, it's still hard for me to accept that they change. I was like, oh, I doubt it can't be ambisol, but I don't know. You'd think I would get over it after 2 years of watching the ME, but it's still. So anyway, yes, I agree. Ambisol is an ME for me. It looks almost fake. Why no people other than one in shot at a festival? Yeah, I don't know. I already took it down, huh? Yeah. If I go backward, I can probably find it. Yeah, that's a good point, though. Why are there no people? Jump. Jump. I mean, one could guess that maybe they all hightailed it out of there because there was a mini tornado. But I don't know. There's one guy. All right, wait. All right, you can see a bunch of people over here, so maybe they just cleared out because of the mini tornado. But you can see a bunch of people running back there. There's at least 4 or 5 people back there. And I think there's a bunch behind there, too. Yep, and there was one right there. Okay, so there's people there. You probably can't see it as big as I do. I'm not sure about that, but that's a good question, though. Yeah, it's good to question those things. All right, so I think that's all my saved ones. This one's funny. I love the title. News flash, bats can swim, and they're surprisingly good at it. Like, they know we didn't know. That's what always gets me, is like... Alright. Next. Now, I expected this when I started seeing that weird shark. This one I've been waiting for. I was almost sure we were going to get this. Yep. This is a rare cyclops goat born in India. Has lived for over a week. I don't know if you remember, but a whiles back there was that cyclops baby shark that was found dead. And I looked very hard for any living cyclops thing at the time. I just had a feeling it was coming. And here it is. Born on May 10 with a single enormous eye in the center of its face, a baby goat has survived a surprising 8 days. And maybe someday the photo will load. Boy, it's taking its time. National Geographics, you are so slow. Let's just go to some Google Images, shall we? Oh yeah, there it is. Cyclops goat. I've also been seeing a lot of malformed human cyclops fetuses being born. A lot of creepy stuff like that, but I was always fascinated with the whole cyclops thing, and quite a number of years back I actually researched it very heavily. There was no creature that had ever lived, even been born alive with the cyclops at that time. The eye almost looks like it had worked too. Our one-eyed friend in India isn't the only cyclops goat in recent years. The good old USA had its own for a while back in 2012. This must be the one from 2012. I guess they're going to say it died, but yeah, there was nothing like this before. You probably assumed it was a hoax and moved on with your life. Well, it isn't. It's very real. People assume it's a hoax because these things didn't exist before. So there's the goat of India. Cyclopia is often caused when there are too many toxins present in the womb. Or just some genetic wonk. There's some scientific term for you. Well, anyway, so I'm betting you're going to see more and more of these things. And after you get used to them, I think that we're going to start to see some species with these. Just give it a little time. It's coming. Anyway, that's my prediction. I mean, it's not like I really know what's going to happen, but it just seems like there's a pattern it follows. And it starts out small and it gets bigger. And this is the pattern I'm seeing with these cyclops eyes. And of course, they are something from myth and legend. And that's another thing we see a lot of with the ME. Okay, this one super fascinated me. I don't know how well you know birds, but I've researched this before, and they would talk about the difficulty that birds had when migrating. They'd have to land on islands and things, and they would talk about some birds could fly up to 3 or 4 days. They had to stop at this and that island, and what a horrible toll it was on them because they had to fly for so long. Well, apparently now a number of birds can just fly for months and months. Like they can fly for 8 or 9 months, without ever landing, and they just scoop up food out of the ocean and eat it on the wing. And every now and then they might stop on an island, and they made it sound like they pretty much only stop if there's really bad weather. They don't need to stop. They reach 40 kilometers per hour. Oh, dark wolves, thank you. my alarm actually worked. I heard it. It's a miracle. I probably wouldn't. I really appreciate it. Keep up the great work. Thank you. All right, where is that? Let's see. Somewhere they will say on here how long they fly for. But it wasn't just sooty terns that do that. It was also common swifts also do that. So there's a number of these birds that can just fly. Of course, now this one is not showing it. These birds fly almost a year without landing. So they're saying that they will typically land once a year for mating. Pretty hard to hatch your egg while flying. That's the one thing they have not mastered. So 10 months they fly continuously or almost continuously. Then they land for mating and then they're off. So they don't actually have to land, but other than for mating. Apparently they just are happy flying the entire time, and they will fly past islands and things. They don't need to stop. They're not tired. And this trips me out because there was no freaking way. No freaking way. I should have known. I shifted 3 years ago when people started seeing werewolves, dogmen, all of these fantasy creatures are coming true. I have not yet seen the actual werewolves and dogman. Is it another thing like hunting for the Bigfoot or something? The albatross was the longer flyer with some seasonal migrators like the cuckoo. I have not heard of the cuckoo being a long flyer. It was the albatross, maybe. I think it was another one of the ocean birds, though, for me. The moon wasn't out at night for almost 2 weeks. I don't remember it being out during, I assume you mean the day, but not at night. That's new to me. Wonder, luster, wander. Well, for me, the moon was always out at night only until maybe about 5 years ago. Maybe a little longer than that. And then it would just be out right around sunset occasionally. Then there was, at some point in the recent few years, it would just blast across the whole daylight sky. But when it first happened, it was kind of sneaky. But now it will come out during the day, all day sometimes, and it can be hard to find. Sometimes it's right by the sun and you can't see it. So if you have to look at your moon schedule. You actually have to go online for your area and see when the moon rises for your area and where it's going to be, and then look for it. And if it's right near the sun, like it sometimes is when it's kind of small, you're going to have trouble finding it. Well, when Australia was down under, it was a long way. Yeah, that's right. Migrating to Australia got easier. Australia is right there by all the other land now. Nearly full moon clearly visible in the day here in Australia today. Never before. That the moon orbits are changing regularly. It's hard to keep track unless it does something really weird. Moon during the day is one of the norms from my original timeline. Really? Yeah, nope. You know, that was one of the things that really freaked me out before I knew of the ME, is I was out hiking one day, and I looked over my shoulder, and the moon was out during the day. It was a little before sunset, and I was really freaked out because I'd never seen that, and it was just this really weird, like, it was like a Twilight Zone moment, and I kept looking at it, and I'm like, no, I've never seen that. That's impossible, but there it is, so it's possible, and I just kept going back and forth on it. And I'm like, well, the moon couldn't have changed orbit because then all the tides and the geomagnetics, and there would be massive earthquakes and storms, and it would be on every news channel and blah, blah, and none of that happened. Everything was calm and peaceful. I'm like, I mean, everybody on Earth would be freaking out if this... So I've never seen it, but yet it's impossible, but it has to be normal. And I just was like, there was this giant fight in my head. Finally, I just went, well, if I get back to the car and there's nothing on the news about, catastrophic moon shifts, then I have to have just, you know, never known about it. And I accepted that. I didn't know about the ME then, and I accepted it. But I still remember that confusion because it was really weird for me. And it surprises me that I accepted it. And I accepted it pretty fast, too. I mean, there was some fight, but I accepted it pretty fast. Only seen moon a couple of times during the day as a child. Yeah, no, that time I was out hiking, and it wasn't that long ago. And I used to hike a lot. I used to hike like 3-4 times a week. I camped all the time. There's no way I wouldn't have seen it. There's just no way. And then after I saw it that time, then I saw it, fairly regularly after that from my house too. So, it's readily visible from my house. And I had never seen it from my house. Just going in and out of the house near sunset, I would see it. So there was no way I wouldn't have seen that same thing other times going in and out of the house. I've seen it out in day for years, just never noticed days in a row with no moon at night. Well, the thing is that it'll start rising at first it'll rise at 1 a.m., then it'll rise at 2 a.m., and then it'll rise at 3 a.m. So it's out during a little bit of the night, but you're probably sleeping. That's why you have to check your moon schedule to see it. Rosanna Alvarado, first time. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. We're talking about all kind of stuff, including that the moon is out during the day now, and some people remember that always being the case, and some, like me, do not. But I'm about ready to go on to the next thing here. Did that one. Okay, this one. Oops, I spelled that wrong. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Uh-oh. Not sure if I can find it. Let's see. See if that will do it. All right, let me try one other way here. Last time I checked this, I was able to find it with that search term, but now apparently I can't. Okay, I can't find it, but I'm going to go another route. So basically, this is about marfan syndrome. And I first heard about this quite a long time ago, maybe 90s. And they said that they thought that maybe Lincoln, our president, had marfan syndrome. At that time, I looked into it, and it was just a little bit elongated fingers. Maybe you'll have a little bit of heart trouble. But it seems like it's really developed since then, because I'm starting to see some really weird images on, oh, here's the one I was looking for, on YouTube about it. And so apparently this singer dude has marfan. And look at how skinny he is. So this guy has marfan. And they're doing this weird rock thing because they're a singing group. There's a couple things that strike me here. In my old timeline, if you were that skinny, you were dead. You just couldn't survive that thin. I mean, even people starving to death weren't that thin. But apparently now this happens with marfan. And also these very long necks. Some of these marfan people have really long necks. And this is one. I have just not heard of this before, and I had looked into this. And marfan used to be something that was more subtle. You just look a little bit tall and skinny, but you did not look like there was anything wrong exactly with you. And they used to say you had to be really careful if you did have kind of elongated digits just a little bit. You should check to see if you have marfan. Now, some people are like that, but some have these extreme cases. And this is the long neck thing is actually very interesting to me. So this young lady here has marfan. And one thing that I had never heard of is the long neck thing. That just wasn't on there before. I was hoping I could get this image a little larger. But no, does not look like it. Dun. But anyway, her neck is like twice as long as normal, and it looks really strange. And I've brought this up before. It really just seems like the variation in humans is just getting more and more extreme. Where it used to be that your neck would not function if it was like this. You would not be able to just walk around like a normal person. But now there are people like this. Or at least, you know, I've never seen any of them, but supposedly there are people like this. I mean, I just have to be a little bit skeptical. But this is what's coming into our reality, I guess, is all I can really say. There's a lot worse, really weird, you know, defects or whatever you want to call them in people that are being born now too. I don't want to put all of them up because some of them are really disturbing, but there are just things that just didn't exist before. And I have to say, I've always been really curious about all weird things, so I kind of had I pretty much knew all of the weird images that you would see. Oh, it's that guy again, it's that guy. I knew all those images, and they were the same images over and over. And now I just see so many that, no, that one's 10 times more creepy than any of the ones that were out before. And yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It looks alien. It does look alien to me. I don't know if we're just being, you know, are we being kind of inoculated so we're used to the weird look? You know I've said that before and it sounds a little paranoid, and I really don't know if that's the case. I really don't, but it is something I think about. I remember it being rare to see a planet, yet there's almost always 3 or 4 visible at all times. Yeah, and they're a lot easier to see. They used to just look like little stars. Now they're very bright. It used to be just like Mars you could see, but now you can see a lot of them. Weirdly, I don't remember being able to see Venus. It was Mars. You could see Mars. Then last year, Venus was so bright. Completely different than I remember. They look like they've had those rings in their neck that stretch it out. J. Elliott. You know, the thing with those rings, and I haven't checked lately if it's still true, but they would say that those Africans that would put the rings on their neck one more each year and their neck would get all stretched out, they would say that if they removed the rings, they would die because their neck could not hold up their head. So that was the storyline back then anyway. I'm not sure if it's still the storyline with the Africans, the neck rings. You think about that, though. Back when I was 15, you never heard about those neck rings. It just, you know, I look back and I just wonder how much of this is early ME. It's very hard to tell. John Smith, they couldn't take them off, I remember clearly. Yes, that's what they used to say. I'm going to have to look into that and see if that's still the case. Spine and neck bones are a lot thicker and stronger looking than I remember. Yes, and a good point that probably has a lot to do with it. You've got a lot thicker vertebrae there. You've got all those spines coming off that interlace and help place for the ligaments and the muscles. So it's probably a lot easier to have a long neck now and safely. The other thing that really got me though is that one his I guess his DJ name or his singing name is Daddy Long Neck, and he's so thin yet he's able to be fairly healthy looking. That really, it trips me out how thin people can be now. That you just couldn't live like that. You would not survive. That was a dead person there. Kyoko Komani, I never find anything called Quick. It used to be Nestle Quick. I remember that. Now, I think I looked into this before, and there was a brief time when it was Nestle Quick. Let's see if it's still there. It was Nestle Quick when I was growing up, so that's 70s. Nestle Quick. It was absolutely Nestle Quick. So if there's no more Nestle Quick, then we've got a problem. Nestle Quick. Advertising. Aha, there it is. Rare vintage 1980s Nestle Quick. I think I looked this up and it was Nestle Quick for a short while. And I believe it was only in the United States. Now that was what they said like a year ago. So there are still some boxes of it. So even in this timeline, apparently it was around for a short while. This one actually looks about right. The Nestle with those long lines across the top is not right for me, the way that, but the rabbit and stuff. I don't remember it at an angle, though. I remember Quick being straight across. I'm a bit of an expert on it because I was a Nestle Quick, complete and utter addict of the universe for quite some time. Had to have it. It was the strawberry one. Had to have my strawberry Nestle. There was a point somewhere where they changed the flavor, and then I didn't like it anymore, and then I didn't want it. Yeah, there. You know what? It was straight across. There were no diagonal ones. But almost all the logos and all the lettering has changed, so can't say I'm shocked. All right, so we don't need to go into that one. All right, got lots of weird animal ones today. All right, so this is another one with things eating things they didn't used to eat. Apparently, large fish now just eat all kinds of stuff along the shore. They'll jump up there and snatch stuff off the shore. So this one apparently ate a mole. And those moles are really creepy looking now as it is. So supposedly right before they caught this bass, it ate this mole. And it looks like the mole is a little digested or something. But look at the huge feet. I don't really understand how that mole did not damage that bass. I mean, this mole has some claws on it. How come it didn't claw the heck out of that throat if it climbed that far out? I mean, some people were guessing maybe like the fish drowned it. But even so, it should be like, and I mean, in my old timeline, I'm sure that it would have got spit out. But supposedly this bass was caught with this dead mole in it. Just trippy. I also don't remember the structures like this inside a bass. It just looks like these the ribbing along the throat is more extensive than I recall, but which is weird. Creepiest is the alien baby in Algeria. That might be one of it's Harlequin ichthyosis. I'm betting you're talking about, and I didn't put that up because it's so gross looking, but I've been watching that, and Harlequin ichthyosis is very, very creepy looking. Alien baby. Concentrate Eva. You can type it. All right, let's see. Let's see what the alien baby in Algeria looks like. Well, no, it looks like I'm not finding it. Unless you're talking about... No, you're not talking about that little thing. That was in Russia. All right, I'm going to do it, but it's kind of disturbing. So basically these babies, they're born with a skin problem. So when the skin is super thick, so when they're born, their eyes are all inverted and weird, and but a lot of times they survive, and then as they get older, they start looking more normal. But I just started seeing images in the last few months of these babies that have... Now, ichthyosis is generally a word for some kind of thickening of the skin, but this one goes over the top. And they do look like aliens. All right, so they're born... When I first saw this, I thought it was fake. These babies, that's how they're born, supposedly. And then when they get older, they're able to peel off some of the extra skin and kind of control it. But it's been flooded with images of these babies. And I don't want to put them up too long because they're just disturbing. But you can look it up. It's ichthyosis, Harlequin ichthyosis. And the search term is right here. So anyways, yes, there, when I was talking about there being malformations and weird fetus things, that's one of them. It's very new. And I'm not sure if that's the alien baby in Algeria, because nothing really came up for Algeria alien baby. But if you're talking about the eyes being all red and stuff, it's probably that one. If not, let me know if that wasn't it. But yeah, rare skin disease. How does a bass eat a mole? So moles are in the ground under lakes. Or people are saying, oh, maybe the mole got towards the edge. I guess, maybe it fell in. Maybe it died and fell in. I don't know. But there's all kinds of stuff that are just showing up inside fish the last few months. Saw a fish snag a bird out of the sky recently. Couldn't believe what say. Then one grab a frog from the shore. Crazy stuff. I saw that. That was... Wonder, Lester, Wander. I saw that a few days ago online myself. They're saying that the fish will jump up out of the water and snag birds. I agree, never heard of that. They would jump out of the water and snag insects. Yes. Birds, no. Mole hands have changed for me. I found a dead one 5 years later. They look too human. Those weird naked mole rats have those giant claw hand things. Those have been developing for a couple of years. They did not have hands nearly so creepy like 5 years ago. If you look at their history of their mating rituals and stuff, those in the last year have gotten really weird too, really weird. And it's following the trend of female dominance. And there's a weird pack structure and all this stuff. So there's been a lot of shifting in that direction. It was around before, but they died early and it did not look as bad as it looks now. Could be. It could be. I just know I've never seen images like that. And, that is kind of how the ME comes. There'll be a new thing, and it'll be only just a little bit different than something else, and then each shift it diverges. It gets weirder and weirder. They're saying the Argentina mummy child is fraudulent. I don't know what the Argentina mummy child is, so let's check it out. Argentina mummy child. Images. Okay, I haven't seen that one yet. Let's see. The story is behind it. 3 Inca child mummies rediscovered on 16th of March 1999 by Johann Reinhard and his archaeological team near Uyayako or Lulalako. Not sure pronunciation on that one. They used to sew mice into body cavities as torture technique. I've never heard of that one. It's pretty gross. Okay, enough said. There was an old video by Sagan. He said Earth was on the Sagittarius arm, but current reality said it's Orion. I do remember that saying that he was affected. He said Sagittarius arm. So he doesn't say it anymore. I bet he still says on outskirts, though. There's got to be some ME left on there. Julie Holcomb, hi, how are you doing? I think I already had some of your MEs up here. Okay, so where are we? Alright, I did that one already. Alright, this one is from Thomas Larson. This one's a little bit esoteric, but I don't know if you guys remember, but in my old timeline, some of the moons of the gas giants were bigger than Earth. And they used to always talk about how this moon is, even the moons of blah, 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 are way bigger than Earth. It's 3-4 times larger than Earth. And that was always one of the things they bragged about when they were trying to say how big the gas giants were. And now, and Thomas Larson noticed this one, the biggest moon is Ganymede, and Ganymede is 2/3 the size of Mars, and Mars is slightly more than half the size of Earth. Now, in my old timeline, Mars was the closest to Earth. It was very close, but now it's more like half the size. It was interesting because it was very hard for me to. Ganymede was the biggest one. That was easy to find. And then I wanted to know what Ganymede was compared to Earth. I could not find any information on that. So then it had to be this roundabout way. Ganymede, 2/3 size of Mars. Mars is 1/2 size of Earth. So Ganymede's way smaller than Earth, and it's the biggest one. So that's a big ME for me. I don't know how. It's kind of esoteric little tidbits of info, but if any of you remember that, the moon sizes have changed drastically. Either Earth's bigger, which I don't think so, or the moons are way smaller. I don't think the Earth is way bigger because it seems like a lot of the countries are getting shrunk. We're losing a lot of territory. Drive times are shrinking in most of the United States, according to people that I've been talking to. So I don't think that we're getting bigger. Did you hear about 10 moons suddenly appearing around Jupiter? I looked into that last time, and I think the thing is that a lot of those moons are tiny right now. I'm not sure why they're calling them moons, like a mile or something. So they'll probably grow, is my bet. Why call them moons when they're just like rocks, but suddenly they're moons. Just like we had that little rock, and they said it's our second moon. Since when is a rock stuck in orbit a second moon? But I'm betting you they label it that, and it gets bigger over time. That is my prediction. Again, I just follow the patterns of the Mandela, and it has a certain patterns that it goes. And after a while, you can kind of guess that new Mandelas will follow the patterns of the old Mandelas, and that's a big one. It starts out small. It's just a rock. Oh, that's probably why you didn't even know about it. It's so tiny, but you hear the word, you hear the name, the idea is planted in your head. And then it gets, over the years, it gets a little bigger, little bigger, little bigger. You hear the name, you hear it's a moon. You remember you heard about that years ago. So you're not surprised. You might be a little surprised at how big it was, but but you just accept it. That's how the Mandela works, in my opinion. It's been 6 months since I can find Orion's belt anymore, and it was always the first thing I would see, but I had heard about the move over a year ago. Yeah, there, I used to, about a year and a bit ago, Venus was right in a certain spot straight down the road from my house. It would come up around this time, very bright, and you could see it even before the sun set. It was that bright. I actually used to think at first, for the first few days, I thought that there was a plane there. And then the next day I came out and I'm like, what? There's a plane in the same spot. And after a few days, I'm like, that's not a plane. What is that? And then there were people online asking about that. And then the skeptics are all, oh, it's Venus, you idiots. It's always there at this time of year. Well, a year has passed and it's not there. And now the skeptics are telling us we're idiots because Venus is in different places and does not follow an annual schedule. Well, last year we were idiots for not knowing that it did follow an annual schedule and that we should know it's always there. And now we're idiots because we think it's always there and it's not. So that's why I don't listen to skeptics anymore. What about people trying to say Napoleon wasn't short? Exactly. Rosanna Alvarado, he was short. I think it was like 5'3". I remember him being really close to my height, which is pretty short for a dude. Napoleon complex, exactly. Now it's just an old wives' tale, and we were educated badly. No, he was short. Yeah, the ice cap on Mars, Olivier Henry, there was no freaking ice cap on Mars. I don't know if you heard, they said they found a big lake under, I think it's liquid. Big liquid lake under Mars. I think that was just today's news, perhaps. Large liquid lake discovered under Mars ice cap. So we've got liquid water on Mars now. Stokes' hopes of finding life. Yes, that was like 18 hours ago. So, there you go, the latest. We've got liquid water on Mars. That used to be dry as the Sahara. I think we're going to find it on our moon as well. Plume, yes, it was hilariously bright, took lots of pictures. Yes, you remember the Venus baloney. It just did not happen again this year. I mean, I still work at the same place. I walk down the same road to get to the car. No Venus. And I've been watching for it because those skeptics piss me off. I'm like, I'm going to see if it's again here this year, and it is not there. You can see Mars off more to the north, but no. I mean, Venus is still coming up, but it doesn't come up when they said it always came up. But there's been a lot of shifts since then. So, red bananas. That was a tough one for me. I had not heard of them, but I cannot say that I followed the fruits and vegetables nearly as closely as I watched weird animals. So, they have the red bananas in the store now too. They're plantains. They're the kind of bananas that you're supposed to cook a little bit. And I actually really love plantains. So, Dark Wolf's Den, 1 hour. Yeah, I know. Actually, I've got like 40 minutes to finish. I could yap on forever. I'm getting worse than Mandela affected. Okay. All right, so there's that one. Vampire moth is next one. All right, this one. Vampire moth sucks the blood of vertebrates, including humans. We don't have enough problems with mosquitoes. There is now a moth. This is a weird one, too, because supposedly they developed this proboscis in order to suck fruits, but if they happen to see some skin, they'll just suck your blood. So again, old timeline, creatures had specific food sources, and because of their digestion, they they didn't have a wide range of food sources, especially not insects. So what this thing can eat, fruit juice or blood, I mean, that's a completely vastly different type of food source. And how does it digest them? Well, I guess creatures in this timeline are just way more flexible. So this guy, there was rumors that it would suck blood, so this scientist stuck his little finger down there, and sure enough, Mr. Moth just jammed his proboscis in there and started sucking. Vampire moths. Now these Calipatra moths are in a lot of places, and they even have one in Canada. And they were saying that they don't know if the moths in Canada will suck human blood or not. It hasn't been tested. But this is one eating a strawberry here, which is a little bit more normal for it. Look at how it kind of like drills his head in like this, too. He gets it and he goes, in. So, look at how he turns his head. So apparently that's how he sucks it out of your body, too. Creepy, anyway. So, yes, we have vampire moths now. Look in the co-op for the reds. Yeah, they're pretty good. You know, just slice them up with some, and put some butter in a pan and slap them down in there. And put some cinnamon on them. And they are very good. And, I mean, you don't have to cook them long, just to kind of soften them up and heat them up a little bit. I usually put the cinnamon on at the end. I don't like to cook cinnamon a lot. I don't know if that's a thing, but that's what I do. I'm waiting for the hardier bananas. They are starting to... Bananas are getting more and more cold tolerant, so... Before I plant any, I want them to be a little more cold tolerant. I watch Mars rise and set all the time. It's a beautiful new reality. Mars is very pretty out there. I have to agree with you that. All right, where are we now? Okay, this one is... okay, so Vampire Mouth was from Stand Up for Freedom commenter. So good eye. He sees a lot of MEs. I have not 100% caught up with all my comments on my channel, so there might be a few recent ones that I have not read or commented on. And if you have good suggestions, I'll have to put those in next week's, as I fell a little bit behind. All right, here we go. All right, this one was by commenter named 42, and he was just kind of watching the human skull, and he noticed this area right here is really bulging out. Just kind of a recent... This one really shows it. There's a huge bulge right here. So right about there, look in that area. There are a lot that really show a bulge there. And that's sort of like the most... See, there's like a thickening right there. Here's gotten real thin, but this used to come more around. Now it's attaching over here more. Remember the hole here was tiny in the arch. Now it's getting really... There's like this indented hole right here. These two holes are giant now. And see how far these are pushed out? The whole thing is just kind of coming out like that now. So he noticed that one. This kind of shows it here pushed out. I mean, each one of these is a little bit different, but overall, a lot of these have this now. That wasn't there last month. Here's another one. See how it suddenly pushes out really hard right there. This one has it too. See, it comes around, and then there's just this kind of this little flap right there. See this part right there. So yeah, weird. Kind of makes sense, the thickening there where the jaw attaches. You probably need more material there, but that was not there before. So yes, I agree with that one. Good find. Can you feel it? I think it's like right there. Well, the whole region is zygomatic arch. Yeah, I didn't want to use the fancy terms, but it's not just that little bit, but all around there is zygomatic. Um, if I had my props here, basically this is looking a lot more like coyotes and other animals. Our skulls used to look quite different from coyotes and other animals, but now they have a big open arch area, and then you have to be careful when you ship them because they always break right there. They'll come in broken, and it's always on the zygomatic arch. Now humans, this used to be all solid in here. You didn't have to worry about it breaking. But now with this kind of bone hanging out here, I mean, it definitely break a lot easier. I mean, it's not done shifting, so maybe down the line. And the eyes are more protected now with that bone, so it's not all weaker. Boy, look at this one. Look at that, how it's coming down. And we're not done shifting, so long term, look at the bulges there. Anyway, yes, I'm getting carried away. All right, here's another. This is a weird history story. I don't know if you remember anything about Teddy Roosevelt being shot. See if you can remember any weird story about it. Alright, so this is a trippy story. Supposedly, Teddy Roosevelt was shot. I have never heard of anything like this. That he was shot in the chest, but he had his speech, like, in his jacket, I guess, in front of him. And so, although he was shot getting out of the car, he just went ahead and gave his speech. And in the speech, he mentions that he'd been shot. But the speech papers, apparently it kind of saved him. And he said, oh, no, I want to finish the speech. And then he finishes the whole thing. So the guy who shot him from really close range and then was apprehended right away after I've just never heard of this whole story. Fortunately, I had my manuscript. So he gets out of the car, he's waving, and the assassin, Shrank, had his shot. Point blank, right at Roosevelt's head. But a bystander struck his arm. Roosevelt's security detail spotted the gun, and Shrank pulled the trigger. The shot landed squarely in Roosevelt's chest, just as Shrank was tackled and put in a headlock. Roosevelt is said not to have noticed he was hit until he reached into his undercoat and felt blood on his fingers. So they're saying he had a 50-page copy of a speech there, and so it kind of blocked most of the bullet. The bullet, I think it was in the ribs. It was found later. So he goes ahead and gives his whole speech. He spoke for 55 more minutes, although some estimates say 90. Still wearing his blood-soaked shirt. I have never heard of this story. This is a crazy story. And then he mentioned somewhere in there, he's like, oh yeah, and I've been shot, but I'm going to finish my speech. I have never heard of this ridiculous story. It's like a story, if you heard it once, you would never forget. It's like some stupid story in a movie where you're like, that's so dumb. I would never even believe it if it was in a movie. I would be making fun of a movie if they tried to pull that crap. Oh yeah, sure, you just got shot, but you're going to finish your speech. Anyway, that one just tripped me out, and I call bullshit. Not in my timeline anyways. I call baloney. All right, let's see. We're getting down the home stretch. This one... See if I can find the exact one. All right, Big Bird from Big Bird. You remember Big Bird from Sesame Street. Now, it's kind of hard to tell in this image. There's something on the head here that I do not recall. Now, that was actually up to 1970, so I would not remember back that far. Then this one you can't tell very well, but it's only 1970, and I was still too young then. Same with this one. You're starting to see it. 70, 71, still too young. 71, 72, still too young. I probably started watching somewhere in there. You can see on the head here, there are white feathers on the top of his head. By 76, there was a crap load of white feathers on the top of his head in this timeline. By 78, there was a whole bunch of very prominent white feathers on the top of his head. 82, I have never seen these white feathers. All right, by 88, it's ridiculous. I call baloney on that. There were no white feathers for me. I've never seen him with the white feathers. I have to say also, though, that the legs look a little weird to me. I don't remember them being all crazy looking like that. But anyway, so the white feathers on Big Bird. That was actually a pretty big Mandela effect for on Retconned, and the guy who posted it was named World Breakers. Anyway, so I call baloney on the white feathers on Big Bird. There was another Emmy a while back on Snuffleupagus on the spelling too. A lot of people don't remember the exact current spelling of Snuffleupagus. Okay. Last one. More on the weird animals eating the other weird animals. So, apparently we have the centipede. The centipede eats bats. He climbs up. And he dangles. Let's see if I can catch him dangling. He dangles down. The bats fly by. And he nails one. Catches it in his little clutchy paws and eats it. And that's a new one for me. We didn't have any bat-eating centipedes, but this giant centipede apparently eats bats, small birds, frogs, all kinds of stuff. So this particular video, the big deal is that he climbs up and then he dangles down into the region the bats come through. So, God, I want to check this one. I just read this one. Unbelievably ridiculous animals that actually exist. But a lot of those are clickbait, so I will check that for next week's. Giant centipede. This is how I get addicted, though, because I watch one video, and then YouTube makes you addicted. So there's the guy. Scolopendra gigantea. Peruvian giant yellow-legged centipede. There he is. So he eats other bugs. They're big boys, as you can see. Like about that long. That guy's hand. And they eat all kinds of stuff. Just, that's a big nopity for me. What the heck is that thing? Large, prehistoric. Okay. Ugh. So yes, I call ew gross on that. Here he's eating a tarantula. So supposedly, here he's eating a lizard. And they're poisonous. So don't mess with them. Gross. Look at that thing. Ugh. Anyways, let's see. I think that is it. Wow, look at that. I came in an hour and a half. I got through everything. Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to read through and see if we got anything to add here. You can see 7 planets tonight. Yeah, they were talking about that because they're all aligned on the same side of the sun. It's a big deal that they've been talking about in some channels, that maybe we'll get more earthquakes, because the storyline now is that anytime they're all aligned, we get tons of earthquakes historically. Hitler's mustache is bigger. All right, let's check that out. Hitler's mustache is very shifty. The one now makes me laugh, but they're all stupid looking. The one from my old timeline did not go up into his nose, and it did not really flop over his lip, and it was a little longer and more pencil-like. Now it looks like a giant fuzzy postage stamp. It does not look much like I remember it at all. It actually manages to look even stupider. Now, the storyline is that he shaved his mustache because he had to wear a gas mask for some military detail he had at one time. That's the last time I saw the story, but has it really changed a lot since the last few months for me? I don't think so. Maybe a little bit, but it has been fuzzy and really square for me for a while. It might be a little bit more square, maybe a little bit more fuzzy. It used to look really carefully coiffed. It was very carefully trimmed. It was off the lip and it was away from the nose. It didn't look like a giant nose hair attack in my old timeline. It looks more ridiculous now. And Mandela Effect has already covered how the way they do the Heil Hitler, it is now off to the side. Used to be straight ahead. The swastika now rotates the opposite way than it used to, is another one that others have already mentioned. There's the swastika. That's opposite for me. It used to go the other way. Also, for me, there weren't a whole bunch of tribes that used the swastika. That grew, and it was just one tribe some years ago that used the swastika. But now a whole bunch of... And it was some Buddhist tribe that used the swastika. That was the first tribe that the storyline... Only this one defunct Buddhist tribe once used the swastika. Now the Native Americans use it, and everybody friggin' used it. But I don't know. So that whole story is weird, too. Is it still called the zygomatic? Yeah, let me just check and make sure. I'm pretty sure I saw that recently, though. I've been learning some of the names of things. The zygoma. Now, I have not heard of the zygoma. The zygomatic arch is also called the zygoma. The zygomatic arch or cheekbone, formed by the zygomatic process of the temporal bone. There's the process. So that section is the process. So what, the fact that it's an arch makes it an arch? I'm not really sure on that one. It's a good idea to keep an eye on it, though, because they do shift around with the terminology. Let's go back to images. Temporal process of zygomatic arch. See, there's that huge dip now. So this area here is now the zygomatic bone. And then here, zygomatic process of zygomatic bone. Maybe the whole thing is zygomatic arch. It's getting a little hard to find, though. So this must be the zygomatic bone, and this is a zygomatic process. But some places are still calling it zygomatic arch. So is it zygomatic arch or zygomatic process? Not exactly clear. This is another one I did not have. External auditory meatus. No, we did not have a meatus, M-E-A-T-U-S. That's not something that you would forget. And this little stick piece also I did not have. The sutures are all different. The bone behind the eye. This has all been covered by others, but... so yeah, I don't know. It's in some places it's still called zygomatic arch. In other places it's being called the process. Looks like someone kicked in the side of the skull. Yeah, right here was where it got kicked. Right there. Yeah, it's hollowing out. I think the head is also getting longer out the back. It really is looking kind of like an alien head. It is weird. Very weird. But the jawbone muscle now attaches up in here. So I think it really strengthens the jaw having all this attachment point. So there's probably, it seems like it's useful. I don't know, weird. See, look at all this bone back in here too, the sinuses. There's a whole bunch of bone up in the sinus now that didn't used to be there. That used to just be fleshy, and when the flesh was gone, it was just a hole. Now the animals had a lot of bone up in there. I have a lot of different skulls of animals, not of humans, but of animals. And it was always, the sinuses up in there were one of the things that collectors always wanted to have intact. Humans didn't have that up in there, though, but they do now. Skeletor, yeah. The whole skeleton now is very different for me. I actually think the old ones were probably more creepy looking. These ones look more like an actual face. The old skulls for me did not look at all like the face, but now they're looking more like it. If you look at photographs of the moon, the ones taken in Britain are different to the ones taken in America. The moon is so much smaller in Britain. How come? You know, I'd have to see it compared to something that you can tell the size of, because it's going to look bigger if you have a better telescopic lens. So it could just be that the Brits are poor and they did not have the fancy expensive lenses that cost a fortune, and so then the moon is smaller. But if you have an image of it up by a house coming up or something, then there wouldn't be an obvious reason for it, because you would have the house to compare for size. So I'd have to check and see if that was the case. You'd need something to figure out size. The new bones have bizarre names. Yeah, like the meatus. Some of them do have bizarre names. That's one of the things I kind of laugh at. I'm like, that's a ridiculous name. I would, even if I forgot what bone that was, I would never forget that word. When words are really weird, they stick in my head. My left ankle had a weird tingle it the other day. I do have things where I feel weird tingles and stuff sometimes. Little little electric traveling shocks or something. It'll be, it'll be in one foot for a while, and then it'll be in the hand, or it'll be in the neck, or it's just weird. I never heard about Roosevelt being shot. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one. I didn't follow that. I just love weird things, and somebody just getting shot is not something I pay much attention to. But somebody getting shot with that weird story, that's the kind of thing that I just always checked into. That's just the kind of thing that should have been on, you learn it in history when you're growing up. That should have been everywhere. That's a ridiculous story. It's just like some kind of cowboys and Indians silliness. I just can't believe that I've never heard that story. Used to be a photo of a snake going through the eye sockets of a skull. You know, and that was a common image just like for tattoos and things all the time. Some people don't have the new look. Yeah. Yeah. Then I wonder if there's any pattern to it. The meatus. Yeah. You didn't see that? Okay, let me see if I can find it. It's right there where the ear is. There. External acoustic meatus. meatus. It's right there under the zygomatic arch. Right there. It's that ear hole thing, I think. It was there. Let me see if I can find it. These images all suck. That one doesn't have it. Tiny. Could spend an hour looking for a decent picture sometimes. Anyway, it's there. It's by that ear zone. Let me see if I can type that in. Yeah, would you ever forget if your teacher said there was a bone called the meatus? I do not think so. You know, everything that I ever learned in college, it's just the way my brain is. I may not remember exactly where it was, but the name was always familiar. And so I would hear them again, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think that's over there somewhere by the jawbone. I would always recognize the name up until a couple years ago. And then all this new crap. All these new diseases. This one's a pretty good of it. External acoustic meatus. Yeah, it's that hole. I'm pretty sure that's the hole where the ear goes in. That hole was not there for me before. Not a big, weird-looking hole like that. Mandibular condyle. Nope, wasn't there. All this muscular is different. Musculature is different too. But yeah, there's definitely no meatus. My boss told me today that her knee has hurt for years. The other day it suddenly stopped. Get that shift. I told her it was an ME. She just laughed it off. Yeah, it's just weird. People are not curious about things. Even if I didn't believe it was an ME, I would be really curious. Whenever something suddenly disappears, especially, if they say that it's, you know, it's wear and tear on the body, that's why you get the aches and pains. Well, if it's wear and tear on the body, why does it go away? I have been making meet us jokes for years. Exactly. Yeah, it's just a weird name. My right lower side feels like a pounding pinch the past couple days, though I ate too much ice cream. Ha ha. Well, for me, it's been really like in here. It's been really achy. Really in here. I'm not sure if there's something changing with the rib cage or the heart or something, but it'll just ache for a few minutes and it'll be gone. Weird. I should probably just check that. Every time it aches, I'm like, I'm going to go home and check that. But then I forget. Yeah, I don't see anything real obvious. Well, wait a minute now. Right in here. See how the... okay. I'm going to look at a few more images. But right here, it looks really thin. This front thing. I forgot what they call this front thing. And then the ribs they kind of curve up right here. That is new to me. The ribs are right underneath the collarbone too. There's been a lot of weird stuff going on with this collarbone. Ooh, I see that this little piece has come around. All right, let me look at some other images to see if they're all like that. Yeah, look at... This is interesting. There's been some shifts in here. I'm having trouble putting my finger exactly on it, but I don't remember the rib coming around real tight like this, right under the collarbone like that. That looks weird. There's something a little different going on in there. Just so tight in there. Yeah, this right here. See how this is? I don't remember it looking like that, where it comes up under the collar like that. That is weird. Here's another thing I'm noticing. This is the first time I've seen an image with an extra bump right here and an extra bump right here. I've never seen an image with this. We've been talking a lot about the webbing in here. It used to be that all the ribs attached separately in separate points, but now they're getting stretched down here, and since they can't make it all the way back up, instead they're combining. So they don't all attach in the front. Now originally, way back, there was open front for me, but then they would attach here. Now they don't. They attach to each other and then come up. That is different, and every image shows it a little different. The webbing is a little different. I don't know if the storyline is different in everyone. This is interesting. You can see the residual of the heart way over here on the left. This child too, the heart's way over on the left. This one doesn't show it as much, but look at that collarbone is right on top of the, I call it the neck bone because those are the ones that come up around here, up into the neck. Didn't used to be that way. There it is again. Look at this one comes up around here. Just, I could do this all day, but then I get sleepy and I have to do other work. All right. I was physically disabled before the ME. Since June 2015, I have gotten better and better. I'm almost perfect health now. So for me, the ME is a good thing. Dawn Norton. You know, it brings up something too. When you see these body shifts, then you know that bone and those things can change. We should be able to heal from just about anything, it seems to me. Now, I don't pretend to know all the whys and wherefores, but it seems to me that we should be able to heal. Even problems like you've had, you know, that the doctors will say are permanent. And I used to have really bad asthma all my life. About 5 years ago, I got rid of it. And that was another change for me. Now, at the time, I had given up wheat, and I had credited it solely to no longer eating wheat. But now I can eat wheat, and the asthma doesn't come back. So I haven't been pushing it. But I'm not sure if I still have the wheat issue or I need to eat wheat every day for 6 months to get it back. I'm not sure. But there's been a lot of stories of people getting better. I get weird aches and pains, but there's nothing technically wrong with me. There's blood pressure's fine. Everything. You go to the doctor, everything's fine. Well, I feel tired a lot. Yeah, you're fine. So. Rougher on the sternum area, those ribs at the front are free floating. Basically, the ribs at the front are, if you don't count the cartilage, they're free floating because the cartilage ends right around here. And then the cartilage comes to here and attaches up in there. So, I mean, none of them really attach to the sternum because there's cartilage there. And about 6 months ago, I actually was saying the cartilage got a lot longer for me and the bones got shorter because the cartilage goes way out here now. See if I can find a real one so it really shows. If I can. All right, so this image might be a good one. See, all of that is cartilage there, all of that brown. It's not bone. So technically all of these are in a way free floating because they don't attach, the cartilage attaches. But for me, each bone, maybe a year ago, each bone came up and attached on its own. And I wonder if we've got more ribs or something now, because it's so crowded in there that these have really angled down. They used to be straight across, and they've angled down lower and lower, so the rib cage is taking up more real estate. And now they angle down so low, it's impossible for them to come up here again. So I think that's why they're kind of attaching to each other and then attaching up there. But that's, this webbing here, there's some of them show like little holes and spaces and some don't. They're probably going to say, see here, this one shows a little spaces there. They'll probably say it varies from person to person, would be my guess. Now, these little ridges up here at the top are new for me. I think there's something going on up in here with this. There's been a lot of shoulder changes lately. I covered that in a different video. I guess it's time to get the red bananas and avoid the vampire moths on the way to store. Yeah, I think UK had one of those Calyptras or whatever they were, and Canada has them. So be careful. Another blood moon tomorrow. You can go and look at the blood-sucking moths on the blood moon. It's all about how we think. I do think that is a big component of it. Wait, anyone notice that vertical bone? Rationally 26. Which vertical bone are we talking about? Can you give me more clue? The ribs look a lot stronger and more flexible. For me also, they're a lot flatter. They used to be a round thing, and now they're like linguine noodles. That was a little bit older, maybe like a year. There's been a ton of change on the, what do you call those, shoulder bones back here. See how low these swoop down now? They used to just swoop across for me. So they'd swoop across and they attach to here. But now they angle down so low. Like a little insect we look like. So what's that vertical one rationally? That vertical bone, what are we talking about there? Scapula, yeah. The back, the shoulder bone is, I wanted to say the scapula. The scapula, when I first saw it 2 years ago, and everybody was commenting on how it looked like bat wings, and it was smooth on the back. Let's put that one up. Here they are on this one. They were smooth on the back at that time, and then I noticed over the months that a ridge formed here slowly, and so I thought maybe it was just, I called it a crenulation. I thought it was just kind of maybe strengthening it, but recently a little finger of bone swooped around the front, and that's what the collarbone attaches to now. So that's a fairly recent change for me. I did a video on that already, but you can see here how this piece swoops around and the collarbone is now, this is the piece of the collarbone going forward here. So that's changed a lot. The overall shape of these have changed some too. You could see more ridge lines in here, and it didn't used to have all these kind of scallops to it. It didn't have these ridge lines. Oh, that's different. The spine from the back looks like a spinosaur. Yeah, I'm not sure what a spinosaur is, but yeah. Let's just look at the human rib cage here. Let's see what's up with it. It's been a while since I've checked it, actually. Yeah, look at how thick it is down there. That's even increased. Used to be the same size all the way. This image is too small and it's too slow. Yeah, look at how thick it is there. Looks like these spines have really thickened too. Yeah. That's going to be good for back pain and stuff. I don't know why I keep clicking on that. I don't want to. Not a lot of images. Sometimes when something's changing, it's hard to find a good image of it, I've noticed. Let's put a better search term in. Yeah, it looks like these spines have thickened. This one right here is kind of specialized. Don't remember that being like that. They were all the same at first, just about. There was very little specialization. That's one thing I've really noticed, is that the individual vertebrae are specializing more and more. They used to be all the same all the way down, too. It makes sense that they'd be thicker on the bottom. They have more to hold up. But it didn't used to be that way. I'd actually noticed the weird bumps on my dog even before I'd known of the ME. It's like, God, her back is so bumpy. And I thought she had lost weight and her ribs were, her backbone was sticking out. And it scared me, because I'm like, oh, my dog is starving to death. Her rib cage is sticking out and her backbone is bumpy, because they say if you can feel the backbone, your dog is, not eating enough. So I ran up and weighed her, and she weighed exactly the same. She had not even lost 1 ounce. I think now it was just that the spine there, you run your hand over your dog's fur all the time, and I had just noticed that the spines were more pointy. Don Norton. Talking to Oprah. Okay, let's see. Art and music have become so stupid. I hate that. Yeah, it just seems like things are more infantile. If you look at the great works, or the supposed great works of the old times, the old art that has always been the famous art of the times, they're so much lower quality now. Even the pyramids, the way the stones are cut, it's poor quality now. So then, conversely, if you look at some of the newer things, like the step wells of India, those are so finely done. I'm kind of wondering if we're basically going to shift to different art now. The ones that we traditionally have liked, and the current ones, they're degrading. They're getting so low quality. And a lot of the newer ones are so beautiful. And I think it's kind of going to make it easy to shift over and start loving some of the other items more. Maybe that's what it's saying. It's just a wild guess, but I do notice that a lot of the old things, the old artworks like the Scream and other famous artworks, are just such lower quality now. Such lower quality. Two hours. Uh-oh, I hit the 2 hours mark. Anyways, I think it's time for me to shove off down. Rationally 26. Yeah, weigh your dog and make sure if it got skinnier, because the bones stick out more on my dog, but her weight is the same. So, and it was kind of sudden too. So I think it's just the spiny. She's got such a spiny backbone now. Anyways, I am going to shove off. If I go too long, it cuts off the front part of my stream, which probably has already happened. But thank you all for coming. And, I got 3 minutes left. Okay. So, yes, I'll be back next week. Same time, same place. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.